Thank you so much.
Well,
you can do that as well.
okay, all right.
Okay. That, you answered my first question. Who's actually checking his phone when in the bathroom? So this is what I usually do. I do a lot of studies about digital behaviors. May I have my slides on it? Yes? No? Yes, thank you. But today I'm going to do something a bit different. First of all, I'm sorry I speak in English. I feel more comfortable in Greek. I will talk about the context of digital cultures. I just talked to you about the phone. You're all in love with your phone, right? It's the love of your life. It's your best friend. It's your lover. You actually sleep with him or with her. You're checking the first thing in the morning. What you do, actually, I had a lot of questions this week when I came to Athens about, are we Greeks so addicted to our mobile phones? Why are we so different? We just replicate on the mobile phones our own behavior. So what I study is human behavior. Digital behavior is just a replication of human behavior. With the internet, we kind of feel that everyone is sharing the same content all over the world. We kind of feel there's a uniformization. Everybody has seen the same videos. Right now, you've all seen the video for that dude from South Korea, the Gangnam Style. I'm not going to dance it for you. If I had said I could do it a little bit, but not. And we kind of feel, oh yeah, but that means, will we all be the same? Will we all become one single entity and have the same tastes and the same view the same thing online? So basically, the question we're asking ourselves is, who are we? Who are we? In here, why are we Greeks? What is being Greek? First of all, I could have started, j'aurais pu commencer à parler en français. I could speak English, I could speak other languages as well. But the map is not a territory. Basically, we tend to see the internet, we say, oh, there are various different internets because some people speak Chinese, some people speak Japanese, some people speak Brazilian, thus these internets do not communicate. And by default, you know, again, English became the lingua franca, the language we all use online. This is, again, the trend of uniformization. But language is only part of the equation. Language is only a map. What is actually important is cultures. If language is a map, as Tim O'Reilly said, then cultures are systems. We are in a system. I'm not going to define what culture is. We all have our own definitions. You know, it's a system of belief, of knowledge, of roots, of past, future, hopes. We all are different. I'm Greek. I'm Swiss. I'm also from Finland. I've lived in various countries. So this is why I love this quote here. Oops, sorry for that. Every perfect traveler always creates the country where he travels. That's Nikos Kazantzakis. Because when you go to a new country, or when you receive, and I know in Greece you have a lot of tourists, you kind of see differences. You feel these different cultures. You don't exactly know what it is, but you have this filter in front of you to tell you, maybe these guys are a bit different. Of course, if I were to do this here, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Or if I go to Tokyo and I say, okay, here, of course, if I say, okay, that doesn't work. These are these small signs we see. Online, we have the smileys, you know. You all use smileys. I know you text a lot in Greece. If you use a smiley, you would use actually the smiley like you see here behind, which is we look at the mouth. Whereas in Japan, they would actually have, I took a different, this one is a grin. They look at the eyes. Everything is the eyes. But all these, you know what, they're a bit stereotypes. Here is a term that's what you see, what you get. Is it really that? Are these differences what made us different or not? Are these the representation of cultures? Because if I go there, I could say, okay, I'm Swiss, so I'm supposed to be very rich. I eat only chocolate and I wear watches. Then I'm Greek. It's very convenient because, you know, since I'm Swiss, I'm Greek, I cheat on my taxes. So I'm actually extremely rich because I never pay my taxes. And I can also read the future in coffee. And then I'm also from Finland, so supposedly I do, you know, first of all, supposedly I'm very tall because I'm from Finland, and I can also do holes in the ice, and I go swim underwater and then do sauna completely naked. So these are stereotypes, right? And we all do that, and it's okay to do that, because that allows us to process who we are. But what you see is what you don't get. That's the thing. We don't actually understand the various layers behind our cultures. And this matters a lot in our context nowadays. The internet is becoming more and more visual. You've seen all the rise of these social networks that use pictures. Since language is hard to translate, we use more and more images to communicate to each other. And we believe that all these images are coming back to this content. It's the same for everyone. That's not true. I love silences, but every culture has a different meaning for what is a silence, especially in conflict. You know, some people are very loud, you shout, and then the silence means maybe that I don't agree, or the silence means I'm humble, or the silence means I'm afraid. And across cultures, it's very, very different. This is a dark matter. This is basically the cultural context where you are, and you all feel that, where you are actually defines you. There's a theory that was created in the 70s which classifies various cultures, and they call them high context cultures versus low context culture. Greece is a high context culture, meaning, and I wrote it down here, implicit code. We know we're Greek. You know what? I can walk in Tokyo, hear somebody speak Japanese, he looks foreign, it's like, that guy is Greek. I know he's Greek. Same thing in New York. Okay, the accent plays a little bit, because when a Greek speaks English, it's always this singing accent I love. So I can also recognize it. I don't have it, I'm sorry. So this is high context culture. We have a lot of code. We know, Elana Supon, things like that, and only us can understand these kind of codes. These are high context culture. Japan is also a high context culture, because Japan, when somebody tells you yes to a question, it doesn't mean yes, I agree. It means yes, I understood. You asked me a question. So if you don't know that, you're lost. There's lots of miscommunication, online and offline, for businesses, for people. You don't understand this because the code is not in front of you. And then low context cultures, the code is completely explicit. Easy example, United States. When somebody tells you no, it's no. Somebody tells you yes, it's yes. So it's very direct. It's very direct. And that creates this kind of, these are the differences you can feel. Who has been in the US? I guess a lot of you have been in the US. And Greeks, when they go to the US, especially for business, they tend to go to other Greeks. We all do that. All cultures do that. But also because simply we don't feel, it's not easy coming from a high context culture to transfer ourselves to a low context culture, because suddenly we feel aggression all around us. This is why also, all the miscommunication, all the crisis that happens in Europe is partially that. Because in the north they say, oh, but these guys in the south, they need hand-handling all the time. Here you should go with your economy. This is because we don't understand each other. We don't put ourselves in the context of our cultures. There's other layers. Power distance. So I took a few examples because I'm in Greece. So power distance is how you respect authority, basically. Malaysia, I took Malaysia, is the highest. There's so many studies, and they do not all agree with each other, but Malaysia is considered as a country where people have a very high respect of the authority, of the hierarchy. Australia is on the opposite end. Greece is actually kind of high. You actually kind of respect authority, even though you keep shouting at your own politicians or bosses, maybe behind doors, but you do that, you still have a very much of respect of authority. Then masculinity. I know this word sounds a bit sexist. This is how it's defined. I'm sorry for the ladies in the room. It's not very politically correct. Basically, masculinity means, does a culture accept that people are, for instance, richer than others? So basically, a culture accepts that someone is actually, successful and I'm not. Some cultures want to have this sense of equality. This is why Sweden, you can see, is on the lower end. They tend to believe that everybody should have the same opportunities and have this sense of equality. On the other hand, surprisingly enough, Japan, which is not known, for instance, for having CEOs' salaries are very high. Japan accepts that, if someone has made it, as we say, he has made it. Switzerland as well. Actually, Switzerland higher than the US. Greece, not that much. Greece, you're a country, we actually, you want to believe that everybody has to be kind of equal. This is why a lot of jealousy happens. Again, misunderstandings across cultures. Long-term, okay, that's funny. I didn't put Greece there, but you can guess where you are. Long-term is meaning, do we project ourselves in the future a lot, or do we just think about tomorrow? China, Japan, I mean, it's kind of understandable. You kind of feel when you're there that these are cultures that have a very long-term view on their own. Germany as well. The US a bit is on the opposite end. Some people say it's because they have no history. I don't believe that. It's a matter. It's the fabric of a society. It's also due to history, but not only. It's due to for instance, the reason people left Europe to create the United States. Okay, that's open to debate how it was created, but this has put a mindset in Americans, and since a lot of people have immigrated there, this puts a mindset that, oh, I'll be making it better tomorrow, so I work for tomorrow. Whereas other cultures work for the very, very long term. I put the Philippines, I lived in the Philippines. Philippines is on the very lower end of that long term, the very short term. A certainty. Do we like to be certain of what's going to happen or not? So Greece hates uncertainty. Greece wants to be certain about what happens. Very, very, very high. Singapore, on the other hand, they say, we'll make it, no worries. Again, different in cultures. And finally, individualism. There's also something I hear a lot, people telling me, oh, Greece is too socialist. I've heard that 3 times this week. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't want to go into politics. But it's because Greece has this feeling of collectivity, whereas some countries, the US is being the strongest one, have a feeling of the individual matters. Imagine, I'm not going to go there now, but imagine the implication. This is why Facebook, for instance, is created in the US, because you put yourself in front, your own individual. And actually, if you look at countries, if you look at the adoption rate of Facebook in various countries around the world, you'll realize that in countries that are very individualistic and very low context, the adoption was much quicker than in countries like Greece that are more collectivists. So all these layers. If I come back to my own story, imagine the predicament I'm in. So I was born in Switzerland. It's a very low context culture. Swiss Germans are very low context, even more so than Americans. But I was born in Geneva, so that's a French part, with high context culture in Geneva. My mother is from Finland, low context culture. My father is from Greece, high context culture. I moved to Japan, high context culture, the Philippines, high context culture, Cyprus, high context, and now I'm in the UK, low context. My life is impossible, let me tell you that. Oops, it went on by my... So home doesn't need to be a place. Of course, I'm an outlier, I travel a lot, I've been in various places in my life, but this is more and more acute with the internet. The internet is a platform, it allows us to do a lot that we were not able to, and especially to connect with other people. And it actually allows us to define ourselves differently. I put the shopping cart on the slide here, because that's, designers, they want to... Have you been to Amazon or all these websites? You always see a shopping cart. This is this icon that tells you, here's how, if I want to buy something, I'll put in a shopping cart. These are small details that makes you believe in the uniformization, because in Japan, the site will be exactly the same. There will be a small shopping cart. But actually, there's a lot of subcultures that have been created. And this is one that I've been speaking here in Athens for the past days. It's about what do we do about Greece? How do we make it that it goes into rebirth mode? How do we make it that we create this sense of community and that we work? 3 themes. People are getting more tribal. So the youth generation actually defines itself by finding other people online that are like themselves. And that adds another layer of all the ones I've told you. Nomadism. People move around. Or actually, even if they don't move physically, they move around. They have one office in Athens, and then they work with a guy who's in Rio and another guy who's in Tokyo. And then singularism. I'm no longer alone. If I have a different point of view than everybody else around me, it used to be very different. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna speak up. Now you can find people that are like you all around the world. These are the 3 themes that the Greece should work on to create an ecosystem. And you know what you need to do that? You need heroes. This is my last story. I know I'm running over time. Hero. When we think about heroes, we think about firefighters. We think about these guys that... But you know that, and you must know that. I mean, we're in Greece. Hero is actually, in Greek mythology, was Leandros. Leandros was trying to see his girlfriend, I could say. And she was called Hero. He was actually swimming every night to go see her across the strait. And you know what she was doing? She was putting a light. She was a guiding light. A hero is not always a firefighter. A hero is someone who puts a guiding light. Someone who tells you, this is the way you should go. This is the path you should follow. You Greeks, more than anyone else, should know that. So what I'm asking you here is, please, be heroes. Thank you.